Greetings, this is Frosty Thundertrod, Telnor Beastmaster of the Thunder Guard, and welcome back to Last Week in Testing of Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 from September 28th to October 4th. So this week was a very exciting one. The PTR came up and it was testing the 0.16 patch, which did find on PTR. But when it came to production server here, Shoal, it was a disaster. The servers were down for most of the day. It was so bad that Intrepid reopened the PTR server so that people would actually have something to do while they were trying to fix Shoal. Now, within this patch is a lot of good things. There is improvements to the early leveling system here in the anvils. There's some great improvements to the UI. And I'll show you something here that is a huge addition. Alright. Look at all here in the attributes. We now have different stats for different types of damage: piercing, bleed, blunt, physical speed. So no longer is a weapon is a weapon is a weapon. Different armors and different weapons actually have different damage types and different resistances. So I think this is a great improvement. Now, I can't tell you what most of the stats are obvious, but some of them are a little bit more obscure, so they'll take some more analysis to show out what it does. So I got 33 physical damage, 7.2% physical defense, 79.2 physical speed, 13.1 critical chance percent, crit power, physical accuracy. It's not showing my weapon damage. Yeah, this screen doesn't show, my equipped differences. So I'm swapping back and forth between my weapons here, and it's showing no differences here. So overall, this was a good step forward, even though it was a rough patch. Here in the anvils, we're still kind of limited on our crafting because they added some more recipes. But once again, they require basalt armor molds, and basalt armor molds require oak in order to produce, and there is no oak in the anvils. So, once again, we're kind of limited on our crafting here in the anvils. That's kind of a cool mount. I haven't looked at the bank lately to see if my pre-order mount's showing up here yet or not. I'm not really all that happy with my pre-order pack. It was just one that I bought because I falsely believed that Alpha 2 was about to happen, so I'd better get one. I guess I got tricked in with the FOMO. Now, on PTR also, the Summoner class finally got its first, chance for players to get a hand on it, or I should say testers. We're not players, we're testers. And indeed, I got onto the PTR and tried it out for myself. As it was right now, they said right from the get-go that the summoner was a little bit overtuned and a little bit overpowered, which I would agree with my conclusions. And I tested it with two different summoners. One of them I had very basic minimum gear, and one of them, I had the very good gear from the NPC cheat up vendor that you get on PTR sometimes. And I can tell you that your pets scale to your magic damage, which is a great thing because so many other games which have pet classes, the pets don't scale to anything. So while they usually end up being really strong early on in the game, but by end game, since they don't scale on gear or anything, they end up being really, really weak. This was a huge problem with WoW, where you would play Beastmaster to level up, and then once you hit your max level, you would switch from Beastmaster spec to Archery Marksman spec. But since the pets here in Ash's Creation scale on your stats, including your equipped items, that makes them viable all the way to the end game. That makes me very, very happy. Of the three pets available, the Guardian, the Spiritualist, and the Hunter, I played most with the Hunter. Because the Guardian has an AoE taunt that kind of messes with everything right now. It taunts everything onto it. Guards, other players' pets. So it was really annoying being around anybody else that had a Spirit Guardian out. Now what I found worked really well with the Hunter is the Hunter had single target DPS, but it had increased DPS if it could attack from the rear. So I would attack something and then just start backpedaling off until it was to the point where my pet was behind it. And then my pet would just start doing massive damage, which I found was very useful. So in that vein, I equipped my summoner with heavy armor. Because I wanted the extra durability to stay alive. Now, in the summoner's magic spells, they have a huge over-reliance, I believe, on AoE, which makes them kind of hard to use in situations where you're not just, wiping the field. So if you want to control, your DPS output, so you're not pulling everything and driving your tank absolutely nuts, you're going to be sticking to your basic weapon attacks a lot with the summoner. They do have a few single targets that are good. They have a channeled necromantic damage attack, which is pretty darn strong. They have a spirit dot and debuff, which is pretty good. And it can be turned into an AoE, which I don't like AoEs in most contexts. They're really great in village sieges and PvP, where you don't have to worry about aggro. You just want to spread around to get as much damage onto the field as you can. But in PvE situations where you want to control aggro, AoEs are really a pain in the ass for your tank and for your healers. So that would be the one thing I would say is really bad about the summoner right now, is they just have too much AoE focus. Because two of their pets AoE, and the vast majority of their spells are AoE. One thing kind of interesting about the summoner is they do a bunch of different types of spell damage. You have arcane damage, you have spirit damage, and you have necrotic damage. Which I was not expecting to have that many different types of damage out of the summoner. Plus, then you get the damage done by your weapon. So if you have a wand or a book, you can add arcane as the base, and then you can have, fire, ice, and lightning added onto it, which is awesome. And then if you use, a spell weapon, you can add some types of slashing or piercing or bludgeon. Personally, I think I would go with, I went wand and focus, which I thought was pretty cool. And then I used a spell spear, so a magic attacking spear. It still did piercing damage, but I thought it worked out pretty good. I think if I had my prefer, so I would do wand and focus paired with a scepter and focus. Since reach is really not a factor in Ashes of Creation so far. It might be at some point, but right now it's not. Melee is melee. But I guess that's going to be it for this week. Thank you very much for watching.